Hi, Mrs. Conrad. I'm Jennifer. I'm the SLP.
Hi,
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So would you mind just looking over all this information and making sure it's correct really fast?
Sure. This. Yeah, the rest of it looks great.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so then this page right here is the present levels of achievement. So it's basically just in combination with the assessment results that we just went over, that it kind of just gives a picture of where he's at right now.
Okay.
So his strengths and preferences and interests. So his pragmatic language, so that just means his social language, his understanding of social cues, so things like turn taking and not interrupting are a relative strength of Dustin's. He engages in play with other students and his brothers, but often does not engage in conversation. And he really enjoys outdoor play, team sports, math, and then computer and iPad time, both at home and at school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then your concerns are that Dustin's mother reported that she understands Dustin's speech 100% of the time, but expressed concern about Dustin being understood by teachers, peers, and unfamiliar listeners. So you expressed concern that he's not speaking like his brothers are speaking, and he's often not communicating with listeners who don't understand him. And you're concerned that his lack of communication will impact his education since he's not participating in class or initiating conversation.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
No, as of now, it seems pretty accurate.
Okay. And then these are just assessment results for standardized assessments like the SPPA, but since Dustin is only in kindergarten, he hasn't taken any of these yet. Same with the physical education testing, that it's only applicable for grades 5, 7, and 9. Okay. And then here at the bottom is just his hearing and vision, that he's passed both the hearing and vision screening, and you provided those test results from the doctor's appointment he had before he started kindergarten. Okay. And then on this page, it includes a little bit more about his turn taking, following directions, and social skills or relative strengths that he has. He enjoys group activities, but he often refrains from speaking to his peers. He relies on actions or gestures to kind of get his point across and communicate with them. He enjoys math, and he's performing at grade level. And then his reading and writing skills are approaching grade level, so he's successfully reading and writing single words, including all of those grade level sight words. So in kindergarten, those are the words like a, in, at, on. And then he's successfully writing his name as well. And he demonstrates good understanding of multi-sentence stories, and he'll give appropriate nonverbal responses during story time. So in the classroom, his teacher will read stories, and he'll respond with like a thumbs up, thumbs down, pointing, other appropriate gestures, but he's not really making his thoughts or opinions known verbally. Okay. And then his communication development, so you reported he began speaking at 6 months of age. He was in speech therapy for 2 weeks at 3 years old, discontinuing because you said it didn't seem beneficial at the time. And you reported a history of speech impairments, explaining that your brother didn't speak until he was 7. Dustin's expressive language needs improvement, and his intelligibility is about 69% at the sentence level with unfamiliar listeners, increasing to 54% in known contexts. He does not initiate conversations, and he's speaking using single words and 2 to 3 word phrases. His mean length of utterance is about 4.3, and he demonstrates phonological processes, so switching sounds in a word or omitting sounds in a word, which typically are eliminated after 5 years of age. He's still demonstrating those, so that's a concern since he's 6 and he's demonstrating things that are typically characteristic of the speech of maybe a 3-year-old. We kind of want to eliminate those. We used the Goldman-Fristow test of articulation, so it revealed that his age that he's producing speech sounds is about 2 years, 8 months, or 10 months. So we want to increase his ability to produce those speech sounds. Other than that, his gross and fine motor development, social, emotional, and behavior skills, vocational skills, and adaptive daily living skills and health history are all within normal limits. So these are all things like how he behaves with others, how he copes in the classroom, maybe if things don't go his way, how he's able to line up, follow directions, all of those things. He's all within normal limits with his peers in those areas. And then we're going to talk about the goals that we've set for him in just a minute. But because this is school and we want all the goals to be educational, they're written to address these following two grade standards. So for kindergarten, the speaking and listening standards of kindergarten 1F, produce and expand complete sentences and shared language activities. So like in class, if the class is having a discussion, that he can participate and produce a complete sentence. And then K6, which is speak audibly and express thoughts, feelings, and ideas clearly.
This next page here just says that we're not offering any special accommodations at this time. So he doesn't need an iPad in the classroom or special seating, like to be closer to the front, nothing like that. Of course, we can come back and reassess this later down the line. But as of now, is there anything that you can think of that he would need?
No.
Okay, perfect. So moving on to the next one. So now we're going to talk about the goals that I have set for this this coming year. There's 3 that I have on here. We'll go over those. And the first 2 actually are dealing with his articulation. So we mentioned earlier that he scored pretty low when we were doing those evaluations. He has some of those processes that we're trying to sort of get him past because he's 6 and they end at 5. So the first one is kind of dealing with some of the sounds that he makes that he's saying incorrectly. Frequently saying incorrectly, so the sh, the zh, and ch sounds. He's frequently saying them as different sounds, so he's saying the s or the z sounds instead. So we really want to try to get him to produce those more accurately. When we were, doing my initial assessment, he was at the 2 to 3 word utterance length, so 2 to 3 words. He was saying these couple sounds at a 35%, so really infrequently did he get them correct. And we want to try to get him to be more at about like an 80% accurate. So that's the first goal that we're hoping to do, that we're going to work on over this next year. And I'm going to be taking into consideration things that the teacher's evaluating and seeing in class, as well as things that you're seeing at home. And then, of course, when I have him in session, I'll be taking data and doing observations to be able to track that, as well as the other goals that we'll talk about.
Okay.
So that's the first goal for articulation. And then the second goal for articulation is a lot of the times when he does speak, he will tend to sort of take these sounds that are 2 sounds put together, like spoon, so the S and the P in spoon. He'll either just say one of the sounds or, it'll be very distorted and won't sound correct. So sometimes he'll say like poon for spoon, and the S is deleted, the first sound. So we really want to work on getting those clusters of the consonants more accurate. So when I was doing the initial assessment, when he was saying, 2 to 3 words, he was getting them about 30% of the time. So again, very infrequently was he getting these, 2 sounds together accurately. So again, we want to improve that. And so we're hoping that a year from now, if he can say about 4 to 6 words of a sentence, that if 2 words in that sentence contain those clusters, those consonants, the 2 together, and he can say those at, again, about that 80% accurate. So almost every time he's getting them correct. And then again, we'll go ahead and measure those by things that you're noticing at home, things that the teacher's noticing in the classroom, as well as when he's in therapy with me, what I'm observing and the data that I'm taking. So those 2 deal with his sort of articulation and the way that he's saying the sounds and the words. The next goal that I want to focus on is a little bit more broad of a goal. So what I want to work on for this goal, as well as sort of generally in therapy, is lengthening the utterances that he's saying. So lengthening those like phrases and sentences. So right now, as we've mentioned, he's really only speaking at about a 1 word to about a 2 to 3 word phrase level. I noticed that during the assessment. I know that you had said that a lot of the times it's 1 word, or he kind of points, things like that, as well as the teacher observes that. So for this, when I was doing my assessment, he, again, was using those single words and those shorter phrases. And we do this assessment, as we mentioned before, the MLU, the mean length of utterance. He was at a 4.3, and for his age, he should be at a 5.6. So he's definitely below. We want to go ahead and try to bring that up and get him to speak with a larger variety of words and longer phrases. So within the next year, one of the things we want to try to do is get him to say sentences about 4 to 6 words that, you know, that way he's not just saying things, shorter phrases. We want him to be able to communicate with his peers, initiate with his peers, build up his confidence, things like that. So being able to have some of those longer utterances should hopefully give him a wider array of things to be able to talk about and communicate. And instead of just saying cookie, he could say, Mama, I want a cookie, things like that. We also noticed that a lot of the times he doesn't say the word is. So I'm going to sort of try to embed that and put that into here. So if we're talking about a story and we're saying that, you know, somebody went to bed, or, you know, something, trying to make sure that he says, or who's going to pick you up from school today? And it's Mama is going to pick me up from school today, rather than just saying Mama with the 1 word. So trying to expand. If he gives me a word, making it a little bit longer. So I'm giving him, you know, some examples, things like that. Those are things you can be doing at home as well, and we can go over some of that a little bit more later. Because you're going to be a really big help with a lot of these. We're going to be really taking into consideration the things that you're noticing at home as well. And then this next page here is basically just saying that as a team, we're going to decide kind of what's best for him as far as the therapy goes. This is what I think is going to be best, but again, we all have to agree on this. So as of now, I would say that we should do sort of what we call a pull-out therapy, which means we'll go ahead and pull him out of the classroom and bring him to the therapy room. It would just be one-on-one with me. He doesn't always do the greatest when he's around his peers, is kind of what we've noticed. So we're thinking a one-on-one instruction might be a little bit better. Again, we can always change that later down the line if we think some modifications do need to be made. So right now we're not going to be offering any, you know, extra therapy, anything like that. We're just going to be doing a speech therapy. It would be for 30 minutes, 2 times a week, so 60 minutes, excuse me. And that's just really to try to hone in on those kind of 3 goals that we had set and make sure that we're spending as much time in those direct areas as possible. And then also down here, there's this thing called the extended school year. I've checked the box that says that we're not going to be offering him for the extended school year. We will take a look at this again once we have sort of a longer break where he's not in therapy, about 2 weeks or so. So maybe spring break, maybe after that week. And then, of course, after summer, we'll do a reevaluation. And if it seems like he's made if it seems like his levels have sort of dropped significantly, and his progress has sort of declined, then what we'll do is we can discuss enrolling him in this extended school year, so that way when he is gone over summer and over that larger break, he's not going to be having any deficits when he comes back. That way we can try to keep him at the same level. Otherwise, when we come back from the summer, if he's had some, if he's kind of fallen back a little bit, it'll take a while to sort of get back to those places that we were at before summer.
Okay.
Does that make sense, or do you have any questions about that?
So right now he doesn't need it.
Correct. And again, like I said, once we have a break of like a week or two, and I can see what it's like where he hasn't had speech, if he has made some regression, then we can reconsider. But as of now, I don't see any reason that we would need to do the extended school year.
Okay, so is there anything that I can do to help support Dustin's language and help him meet these goals at home?
So one thing you could do is expand and extend the comments he makes. So for example, he might point to the sky and say, blue sky. And then you could say, oh, also you could point to the sky and then say, the sky is blue. So this way you're getting to that kind of 4-word utterance, so that matches with his goals that we'll be working on in speech therapy.
Okay.
I can also provide you with some resources if you'd like me to mail you those.
Okay. So basically I just say what he said, but I make it a full sentence.
Yeah.
Okay, I can do that. Great, thanks.
Okay, so our next document is educational setting. So pretty much he'll be spending 3% of his time outside the regular class. So this is the time he'll be in speech therapy.
Okay.
And he'll be spending 97% of his time in the regular class.
Okay. So he's only approaching grade level in a couple of subjects. Will there be any way for him to make up the academic time that he misses because he's not in class for speech therapy?
So I'll be working with his teacher and finding the best day and time so he doesn't miss any crucial academic concepts.
Okay.
Also, the goals that we're setting for speech therapy will really be beneficial to his success in general curriculum.
Okay.
So for him to meet his goals, it's based on progress towards goals for his promotion criteria. You'll be informed of his progress in a trimester form, so every 3 months, and it'll be in the form of a progress report summary.
Okay. Will that come at the same time as his regular report card?
Typically, yes.
Okay.
So for statewide assessments, since he is 6 years old, these don't apply to him just yet. So
Okay.
those will be something that you'll see at a later time.
Okay. That's like the other assessments that we talked about that they don't test yet in kindergarten, right?
Yes, exactly. So I actually need a moment to take some notes if you don't mind.
Okay.
Okay, so since these are some long notes, would you mind looking these over and initialing at the top?
No problem.
Thank you. So this next document is just the assessment plan that you've previously signed,
Okay.
and this one is the notice of this meeting that you've also previously signed.
Okay. They just need to be included in the file? Or...
Yes,
Okay.
they're just included in his IEP report.
Okay.
So here, just sign your name and the date. So this is for everybody that's participating in this meeting, so I'm going to sign it as well
Okay.
as the teacher and our principal.
Okay.
Thank you. So next, you'll be signing if you agree to all the parts of the IEP, agree with an exception, or decline the offers that were made in this IEP. So you'll check which box, and then provide a signature below.
Right here?
Yes. And this next area for a signature is discussing, if you sign it, you're allowing his student information to be given to Medi-Cal, and what this could do is possibly give him more services if he qualifies. So if you'd like to sign there. And also, I have a resource. If you have any questions about it, you can keep this and look it over about the Medi-Cal benefits.
I want to say I can revoke this at any time, right?
Yes, you can. So here, could you just initial that you received copies of his assessment report, his procedural safeguards, his IEP, this whole document?
Okay.
And this last box you do not check, because that would mean that he is in private school. So don't check the last box because he's remaining in public.
Okay.
Excuse me. Okay. Well, that's it for his IEP report.
Okay.
It was great meeting you,
Yeah.
and I look forward to working with you and maybe coming up with some more ideas for his language. And any questions you have, feel free to email me or call me. So I'll see you in a year, maybe.
Thank you so much, and the whole IEP team. You guys have been so helpful through this whole process. We really appreciate it.
Great.
Of course, no problem.